Have you ever wondered why bears can survive throughout the winter without any need to go outside to hunt? Or when someone say running for hours is going to slim down your waist? Winter is cardio exercise or just survive starvation. These two activities have a common point. They put energy stress on the body. Such stress calls for the body to adapt and cause fatty acids to be released from edible cells, also known as fat cells. These fatty acids are mobilized for beta oxidation to harvest energy. The process begins when the levels of glucagon and adrenaline in the body increase, and these hormones bind to receptors on the surface of edible cells. This mechanism involves protein kinase A activating adipose triacylglycerol lipase, known as ATGL, and hormone-sensitive lipase (HSL). The fatty acids are released into the circulatory system, bound to proteins and delivered to skeletal and heart muscles as well as to the liver, and used for creating energy. To regulate the utilization of fatty acid, there are four levels. First is lipolysis, which is the hydrolysis of triacylglycerol, from here known as TAG, to release free fatty acids and glycerol. And then there's reesterification of fatty acids to recycle them into glycerin 3-phosphate, or to mobilize them from the adipose tissue and release into the blood. Third one is entry into mitochondria. Acyl-CoA esters are mobilized into the mitochondrion for beta oxidation through carotene transportation. And finally, depending on the availability of FAD and NAD+, the rate of beta oxidation can be adjusted. Let's start with lipolysis. Lipolysis in adipose tissue involves three lipids acting sequentially. The first one is AGTL, which hydrolyzes triacylglycerol to form diacylglycerol. Then HSL is hydrolyzing diacylglycerol to form monoacylglycerol. And finally, MAGL hydrolyzes monoacylglycerol to form glycerol. We know that fatty acids are also hydrophobic, so we need some protein to transport it. Luckily, there's paralipin. Paralipin is a protein that surrounds TAG, forming fat droplets in the blood. Associated with paralipin is a gene identification CGI58, which activates ATGL. In humans, if you have some impaired function of CGI58, it causes some problem with accumulation of TAG and causes a syndrome known as Chanarin-Dorfman. Here's an interesting fact. Hepatitis C virus usually have a lipid envelope that closely resembles human lipoprotein to avoid detection from the immune system. In a study by Veres et al. In 2016, the researchers found that Chanarin-Dorfman syndrome mutants were somehow immune to hepatitis C virus, probably indicating that HCV taps into the lipid droplets of the body. Paralipin also plays an important role in breakdown mobilization of fat in adipose tissue, and some research might have implied that there are causes of obesity if you have an underactive paralipin gene. So now we know how to mobilize fatty acid, but there's some issues. Because triacylglycerol are detergents seem to have hydrophobic tails and hydrophilic section from the glycerol. They are toxic and can damage cells. To prevent this, they are attached to fatty acid binding proteins, which is not to confuse with peripherin. And once in the plasma, this complex will be bound to albumin, help transport into muscles or cardiac tissues. Usually people assume that under stress or starvation, fatty acid will be deposited from the adipose cells, but surprisingly, this is not always true. TAG molecules are continually hydrolyzed to glycerol and fatty acid and re-esterified back into TAG. Why does it sound like a futile cycle? Because this is not at all. The energy requirement of muscles during strenuous or prolonged exercise require 100-fold greater energy than at rest. Think of like when you're lifting a very heavy suitcase upstairs, for example. So the body always mobilizes TAG to ensure a supply of fatty acid to provide energy ready to go. And this also applies to certain migratory birds. In a study by Bryce et al. In 2008, they found that the patterns of mobilization of fatty acid in rough-and sparrows are similar to those of mammals. Maybe this justifies that the birds need to migrate in case of unfavorable situation. But then what's the source of glycerin 3-phosphate in TAG fatty acid cycle? Well, it comes from nutritional state depending on how well fed you are or how starvation going on. So back in the 1967, Richard Hansen proposed that during fasting, adipose tissue makes glycerol 3 phosphate. Well, a research in 2001 by Calhoun et al. Has proven that after a 16-hour fasting, 6.1% of plasma triacylglycerol pool was derived from plasma glycerol, but 10 to 60% were derived from pyruvate, suggesting that there is a process called glycerol neogenesis, and pyruvate contribute a large part into this. So now knowing about the mobilization of fatty acid, I hope you all find this information helpful, especially if you're doing exercise or you're running away from a bear chasing you.